Two Arizona high school teachers from the same school have been caught dating the same student. Nothing else to say. Let's get into it. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Amateur Hour Podcast, and I am your host, Matt. And today we're going to get into a few things. Obviously, the intro. Two Arizona high school teachers have been caught having a relationship with one of their students. The same student, actually. We'll get into that. Then we were going to talk about where we've been at, what's happening with the channel, and then we were going to end with some Avengers Doomsday plot leaks. So we'll leave that towards the end because spoilers, maybe not. I don't know. We don't know if this is true, but if it is, spoilers. Let's get into it. Now, first order of business is where have we been at, right? For those of you keeping up with us, we've had a little bit of a rocky road the last maybe year and a half, right? Things are changing. Obviously, I'm here by myself yet again, right? I think one of the last couple of episodes I was by myself. And in that episode, there was a few things that were kind of up in the air at that point, which is why we didn't even touch on it, right? Because in that episode, I didn't acknowledge anything. I didn't even acknowledge the fact that Angel wasn't here. But he's not here again. And this time we are acknowledging it. So just to get it all out the way, as of right now, Angel is no longer a part of the channel. I think we kind of both were getting to a point where we wanted to do different things. Timing wasn't really lining up, and the workload just was a little bit too much for us in general, Angel specifically. So, it just came down to creative differences, right? And I used to hear that all the time when I was growing up. Your favorite boy band or your favorite music group or your favorite whatever, right? Even your favorite sports team. You would see players or the band members or just people depart from their groups. And as a kid, I used to always be like, what? Like, why would you break up something that's so good? But then as an adult, you understand that just people have different wants, needs, or different circumstances just kind of come up, and it creates rifts and fractures. And like I said, sometimes things just don't pan out the way I guess you wanted them to, right? So with this case, we're not going to get too deep into it. There's nothing really outstanding other than the fact that before Angel got hurt, which was one of the reasons why he wasn't here previously, he had suffered an injury, which kept him out for X amount of months, right? Now, because of that injury, that did put a delay in what we wanted to do. But even before that injury, we were already kind of having trouble getting on the same page. I know one of the biggest things was the workload of the channel was becoming a lot, and a lot of it was on Angel's shoulders. He was doing a lot of heavy lifting on the back end of things, right? The editing, the thumbnails, right? All that stuff. And it was becoming a lot. And I will take fault in that. I never wanted to be an editor, you know what I'm saying? Not that I can't do it, because I've edited short form clips for years now, right? From my own TikTok and my gaming clips and stuff like that. But I didn't really want to be an editor, right? That wasn't where I shined. When me and Angel got together, I thought it was the perfect marriage because I was the talent, right? Like, I was the personality, and Angel had the technical knowledge, right? He was the tech guy. And at first, it was this perfect symbiotic, relationship, right? It was perfect. We kind of where the strengths and weaknesses were, we kind of filled in those gaps, right? But again, like I said, as the demand that we put on ourselves, as that grew, Angel started to shoulder a lot of the technical weight, and it was becoming a lot for him, right? And even though I tried to alleviate some of that, it wasn't enough. And that's the part that I'll take in, that I just didn't uphold my end of the editing side of things, right? Which made Angel not uphold his side of the on-screen personality things, right? Because a lot of the times he would come in tired or just overworked. And when you're in anything, in your regular job and in your life, when you're overworked, your productivity suffers. And that's what was happening. We didn't feel like we were putting out the best content that we probably could. And it was like we were on autopilot. Then to throw into the mix that, like I said, Angel didn't want to have this workload on him. He has his own life. He's grown. That was another aspect too, is that we've grown since this. We started this 3 years ago. 3 years ago, I was still in my 20s, right? I was 28, 29, whereas Angel was 20, 21, I think, so like we just had different lives at that point, and we went all in because the responsibilities weren't there. Relationships weren't in the forefront for us, things like that. Like there was just things that like came into play later on in life. It's just life. That's what happens. But like I said, I will take fault in the fact that I just didn't help as much, and that led to a little bit of animosity, and then that kind of started to fracture the channel's like charm that we had, right? Because we wanted to do this together, and I think we paired well together, but then the cracks started to show. So as of right now, we're going to keep the channel going. Like this, the channel is not, we want to keep putting out videos. We want to keep doing this. But I think we both agreed that the way we were doing it just wasn't going to fly anymore. And as a result, Angel's no longer here. That doesn't mean he won't pop in. I don't know. I don't know what the future holds. We've discussed maybe him popping in maybe in web form. Maybe we do some type of online thing with him where we could get on a Discord call, whatever, and kind of just talk about some stuff. But as of right now, it's just you and I, baby. It's just you and I, right? Which is fine. Like we're gonna keep this going, right? The whole point is to keep this going. We're gonna grow. We're gonna keep putting out content, and I'm just gonna be your central hub of entertainment because I love you guys. I think you guys have shown a lot of love to us, and that's what we're here for, right? The community. So we're just gonna keep trying to build the community. We're gonna keep trying to build the channel, and we're just gonna have fun with it. Like this was supposed to be fun. And in the beginning, you go look at our 100+ episodes. We were having fun. It wasn't until late where it started to not be fun, which I think that's, again, the content was suffering. So I don't know. But everybody pray for my boy Angel. Ain't nothing wrong with him. He's just not on the podcast no more as of right now, right? So shout out to Angel for everything that we did with the channel. Like I said, all of our videos are still there. Nothing's being taken down. And like I said, he's more than welcome to pop in if we both can see if it fits, right? If it fits the goal of what we want. Because Angel's gonna be doing his own thing. He's working on his own projects. He's working on his own side gigs, and he's got content and things to come. So if you are a follower of Angel, then go check him out. Go support him. He's gonna start putting a lot more content out there. So you can still see him. It just ain't gonna be here. It ain't gonna be right here. So got that out the way, right? Next topic. The main topic of today. The biggest thing that got me out of bed to come talk to you guys about is this Haley Beck situation, right? And if you aren't familiar, Haley Beck is the sister of a influencer on TikTok named Noah Beck. I don't know shit about the guy. I don't know who he is. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know who he was prior to this situation. I still don't know who he is, but I know who his sister is, right? And what she is a goddamn predator, right? And you heard it right in the intro. 2 teachers. Haley Beck was one of them. From Centennial High School over here in Arizona, over here in Phoenix. I don't know if it's like specifically Phoenix. I think it might be Peoria or whatever. 2 teachers having a relationship with one student, right? Crazy. And the fact that it's 2 female teachers and 1 male student is a little crazier because you don't hear it that often, or these type of situations don't blow up as often, but that's what we're dealing with, right? So I got some notes for you. Let's get into it. So this is how it allegedly starts, right? Now, we're barely hearing of it in 2026, but this actually goes back, obviously, to 2024, right? So in December 2024, a teacher named Haley Beck is accused of beginning inappropriate communications with a male student in her class, right? Now, at first, this is just a couple of messages here and there, as they usually start. But investigators say that it slowly builds into something much deeper over time. And this is what they would later describe as grooming behavior. She started to groom this student, this kid, very, very, very early on, right? And I think at this time he might have been like 16. I don't know if I think the age is in there somewhere in my notes, but I'm trying to think realistically. He probably was about 16 at the time, right? But yes, this was the start of her grooming behavior. Now, this is where things escalate, right? Now, this is early to mid 2025. As we move into 2025, the situation allegedly escalates pretty fast. We're talking over 4,000 text messages exchanged. Money being sent to the student, right? A few $100s, gifts and personal favors, and according to reports, even alcohol being involved, right? Of course. I mean, why not? If you're sleeping with the students, I don't think it's out of the ordinary for someone to offer them alcohol, right? That's the least. That's the least of the criminal shit I guess you can do. On top of that, Beck allegedly gave this student special treatment. I mean, obviously, she's sleeping with him, right? And we're talking like boosted grades, right? Help on assignments, things like that. Like she's favoring him in her classes. At some point in the messages, she actually refers to herself as a sugar mama, right? And which obviously adds another layer of concern for the investigators because you know what that entails. Now, in mid 2025, this is where a second teacher enters the arena, right? Player 2 enter the arena, right? We had another one, right? And I know all the jokes you guys out there watching this are going to say, right? Like, I know the jokes and the memes and the shit you're saying in your head. Get it out the way, right? I've heard people say, damn, how come these teachers weren't around when I was in school, right? That's wrong. Is it a thought you had? Probably, but it's wrong. No matter how funny it is, right? It's wrong. Gross. Fucking disgusting. Here's where the case gets even more unusual. A second teacher at the same school, her name is Angela Berlacca, is also pulled into the investigation. She is accused of sending explicit content to the same student. So now, investigators aren't just looking at one isolated incident. They're looking at a potential pattern involving multiple staff members and the same student. Damn. That's where things really start to escalate, though. In July 2025, the situation reportedly comes to light in a very unusual way. The student's grandmother allegedly discovers an explicit video on his phone. That discovery is what triggers a deeper investigation, right? So it wasn't that Beck necessarily got caught. It was that, what was her name? Shalanka? No. What was it? Where was my notes at? Berlacca. So that's where Angela Berlacca, right? She's the one that was sending some nasty videos to the student. And obviously his phone got checked. And then now they're busted. Once authorities step in, messages, payments, and communication logs start getting reviewed, and the scope of everything begins to unfold. So again, it just takes one little thing to trigger though it's like the domino effect, right? You just get one thing to knock over that domino, and it's just open season for investigators. Now, here's where the school kind of takes action, right? Now, in August of 2025, both teachers are removed from the classroom. They are placed on administrative leave while the investigation continues. At this point, the school is basically trying to contain the situation that has already gone public internally, even if not yet fully public outside of the district, right? So this, again, we're talking almost 2 years ago. This was already kind of known around, right? We don't know the scope of like, did other teachers know? I don't know. Did other students know? Probably, because high school kids can't keep shit to themselves. Do you really think that this student's like over here smashing these teachers and getting money from them and bribes and A's and all this special treatment, and he's not going to tell somebody? No. Grown adults can't even keep that stuff to themselves, let alone a fucking underdeveloped brained, like the underdeveloped brain of a student, right? Now, let's talk about the consequences real quick, right? Now, if we fast forward to early 2026, which is now, which is this around this time, one teacher resigns and gives up her teaching license, right? I think that was Berlaka. And then Beck faces termination and an internal investigation from the district itself. So it's actually escalating within the job, right? Now the job is starting to take this to the next level. Now, we're in April, right? 2026. And in April is exactly when all of this goes public. By April 2026, the case becomes public knowledge. Reports start circulating based on a large police investigation file, allegedly hundreds of pages of messages, evidence, and interviews, right? And at this stage, no one has been arrested yet, but the case has been forwarded to prosecutors, and charges are actively being discovered. Now, I might be in my notes a little bit later, but I did read something that said that the family of the student, the male student, did not really want to cooperate. They were a little worried that it was going to affect his college scholarships and his sports, career, right? Whatever he's like, I'm sure that goes into the scholarships, but his sports career and his just academic career, they were worried was in jeopardy. But at this time, no arrests have been made, right? But I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be that guy. But realistically, if this was 2 male teachers and 1 female student, these motherfuckers would have been on the electric chair already. It would not have taken 2 years for everyone to be like, this is wrong, right? So maybe legally I'm being dramatic. Maybe it still would have been the process. But can we be real? Can you look me in the eyes and tell me if this was not 2 men, 2 nasty adult men that were preying on a 16-year-old student? You can't tell me that there would not be more of an uproar. That's all I'm saying. Not trying to divide us. I love women. Women should love men. We should all love each other. But let's be real. Y'all would have packed this motherfucker up. Now, here's where things stand now. Right now, the situation is still open. Authorities are reviewing whether criminal charges should be filed, which could include serious offenses related to exploitation of a minor, improper communication with the minor, and financial or sexual misconduct involving a student. There are also reports suggesting there could be potentially more victims, which means the investigation isn't closed yet. So this does not, we don't know the scope of this, right? We really don't know the scope of this, mainly because I don't even know how old Haley Beck is. I think she's 28. But who knows how long this can be going on, right? It was a shock to me. I had like a culture shock or like a reality shock when I became an adult and I started to see my peers around me from high school become teachers at the age of 20, 21. I had a cousin who was like a kindergarten teacher, and at the time she was like 20, 21. For some reason, I just had it in my head that you needed to have a little bit more like years of schooling and experience as a teacher, right? But I think the only reason why I thought that was because realistically, and I'm sure a lot of you guys can agree, all of my teachers growing up were old as shit. Like half of them were almost dust. Like, you know what I'm saying? Rest in peace to whoever is in here with us. I don't know, but like a lot of these teachers probably aren't here no more that I grew up with from primary, middle, and then even high school. Like, I mean, I'm sure there's a lot in high school still fine. But like middle school and primary school, there was a lot of old ass motherfuckers. I just thought teachers had to be old ass people. You know what I'm saying? At least in their 30s, 40s. A lot of these motherfuckers look like they were in their 70s to me at that time. But so it's just one of those things where I didn't realize like that these young ass teachers are getting into this career, and a lot of them, you know, are 21, 22, and they still have that teenage appeal to them, right? Like looks wise. And then they're going into high schools and being around other teenagers that like, it's just a mix of like these people you're supposed to trust, You don't know. It opens the door for predators like this, like people who have other intentions. It just opens the door for them, and it's actually crazy. Like I just didn't think, my brain didn't even process that until I became an adult and started to see how how much of a problem this actually is. But with all that, that's where the story stands right now. It has not been fully resolved. No one has been fully charged, but definitely serious enough that it's already changed multiple careers and triggered a full-scale investigation. And the bigger conversation here isn't just about this specific case. It's about how situations like this can develop quietly over time before anyone realizes what's actually happening, right? Now, granted, we're glad that the kid is okay, but there could be situations or potential situations that someone actually gets harmed, right? And I'm not even saying that the kid's fine necessarily. Like I think it's such a hard thing when like the psychological aspect of this, you would believe that this might affect the kid in the long term. But it's so hard because the male mindset when it comes to this stuff is not the same as the female mindset, right? And I'm not saying that this is okay, but if you go to any group of men, right? Like just growing, even when I was growing up as a kid, you would have older people, the OGs in your family, people, like telling you that it's okay that if you were approached by someone older than, like a woman older than you, it was okay because that means you're a player, right? There is that. Like no matter how much we can scream at the top of our lungs that that's not okay and tell people that's not okay, and it's not. It's a universal truth. That is not okay. But for some reason, the men culture doesn't view it that way, right? Sure, in the long run, he may have some psychological issues or trauma from this, but in the now, amongst his peers, even probably, yeah, like I just told you, there's people making jokes like, damn, like I wish that was me when I was in high school. Yeah, I would have loved to hook up with the teacher and her give me $500. That it's such a weird culture thing. So like we don't know if he's gonna have some long-term effects from this, right? Some trauma from this. And I hope not, but I hope it's not celebrated either, you know? But it's just crazy because by the time this goes public, especially legally, it's already been happening for a long time. So I will keep you guys updated on the next news that happens with this, right? If anyone does get prosecuted, if they don't, what's going to happen? I don't know. I have a feeling that because it's two women and one male student and not the other way around, that it's going to be more of a slap on the wrist than anything else. But I will keep you guys posted because that hits home. That hits close to home just because it's literally in our, or those of you who are native to Arizona, it's literally happening at a high school in our school district. Like fuck Centennial, man. They're the ones that I told you guys a couple of episodes back when we talked about the football stories. And I got fucking demolished by a lineman, right? Threw me 10 feet in the air in front of his home crowd, and I had dirt in my mask, and I heard everyone saying I was a bitch and oohing and ahhing because I got fucked up. That was that school. That's fuck Centennial. They be fucking students over there. Fuck that. Fuck that school. Jeez. But anyway, I'll keep you posted with that for sure. Now, with that out the way, we're gonna get into some Avengers Doomsday potential spoilers and plot leaks. So right now is your chance to like the video, comment something, right? Comment my name, comment something. Give me a comment, right? But this is your time to get away. This is a spoiler warning. Spoiler, spoiler, spoiler. I don't know what to tell you. Spoiler, spoiler, spoiler. I'll give you 5 seconds to change the channel. But before you do that, like the video. Okay, cool. So now we're going to get into the alleged plot of the Avengers Doomsday movie coming out, right? Now, this was about a month ago. Now, I'm going to read you the plot synopsis, and we'll kind of talk about it a little bit, but I just wanted to share this. You guys know me. I'm a very big superhero person, and that's kind of what we're going to narrow down the channel to. We're going to do, the paranormal, spooky, conspiracy stuff. We're going to do the current events news, and then we're going to keep up with the Marvel news and what's happening with all superhero things, right? So we'll just keep it simple with that. But I'm going to read the plot to you, and it gets kind of interesting. I don't know if I believe it fully. There's been a couple of plot leaks that have kind of hit the market right now, so I don't know which one's which. A lot of them share some things, and then there's very big differences in each. We're gonna go to the first one, right? Now, this was posted by a user on Twitter. Their name was like Majestic UCM or something. And I went, in doing the research for this, I went to Twitter to find them, and their account actually has been suspended. When stuff like that happens, it kind of makes you think there might be some validity to these claims, when you start scrubbing them off the internet. That's all I'm saying, but take it with a grain of salt. Now, it's going to be a little bit hard to read this because this is it's a screenshot of the post. It's not like the actual, I couldn't find it anywhere formatted enough for me to be able to read it clearly, so I have to kind of zoom in and then, go through it's like a picture, and I got to kind of keep scrolling to get every line. So it's going to be I'm going to try not to make it too choppy, right? But this says Avengers Doomsday full plot description, right? Now, for you Tobey Maguire Spider-Man fans, this is for you, right? It says, Avengers Doomsday opens up in New York City on Tobey Maguire Spider-Man's Earth, right? He's fighting Deadpool and Wolverine, who were sent there with a planet-killing bomb built by Beast to destroy Tobey's world in order to save their own universe from an incursion. Now, if you've been keeping up with the movies, we are currently in the Multiverse saga. The overall theme of the Multiverse saga is that the multiverse is collapsing. Timelines are smacking into each other. There's different people in these specific timelines that aren't supposed to be there, and that's causing issues. Everything's collapsing right now. So, in this, the X-Men that we've all known, right? Wolverine, all of them, right? From the 2000 movies and on, they are trying very hard to save their own universes. And they've discovered that if you can destroy the universe that your universe is clashing with, it buys you some time. So we're learning that the X-Men have actually been destroying multiverses, right? So they're not really the good guys at this moment. So it says, Tobey battles Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, who manages to plant the device. Wolverine stays behind when it detonates, and both he and Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, along with everyone on that Earth, are killed. Deadpool escapes and returns on his own Earth, which we see in the distance. Charles Xavier watches the destroyed world from below with sadness, but they had no choice. We then cut to Tony's funeral. Steve speaks with some of the heroes, including Ant-Man, before returning the stones. He goes back in time and chooses to stay with Peggy. They have a son named Jim, and one day, Loki visits them. Now, this is before the Loki Season 2 finale. He tells Steve about the TVA and warns them that they will prune his timeline because he's never supposed to be there. He wasn't supposed to be there at all, so Loki's giving him that warning, like, hey, at some point, they will find you, and they will get rid of this. And they're going to do that because Steve was never meant to live there or have a son. Loki then offers a way out. He can take them to a universe where they don't exist and live in peace. And that universe happens to be the Fantastic Four's universe, the Fantastic Four we just saw. Now, before leaving, Loki gives Steve a special card to contact him, and Steve and his family live in that Fantastic Four world for about 10 years. Now, the next part of this says, we then see Doctor Doom visiting Sue and Franklin, the post-credit scene that we saw at the end of Fantastic Four. They clearly know each other. Doom says he has to come speak with Reed, and he warns him about the incursions and reveals that their universe is next. He proposes a plan, and that plan includes them traveling to Earth 616, which is, again, the post-credit scene that we saw with the Fantastic Four ship coming into the Avengers planet, like their universe. That's supposed to be about what that was. Doom also asks Reed whether it's possible for someone from another universe to be living in theirs. I think Doom figures out that something's going on with their own timeline, and someone's not supposed to be there, a.k.a. Steve Rogers. They scan the planet and discover an anomaly, Steve and his family. They confront Steve, who recognizes them after living there for a decade. They explain the incursions, and they ask him to come to 616 to help convince the Avengers to trust Doom's plan. They travel there, and Steve successfully persuades the heroes to listen. Now, that's how they're going to be able to get. That's how Doom is going to be able to kind of slither his way in, right? Because we all know Dr. Doom is not a good guy. His name is fucking Doom. Like, his name is Doom. I'm not trusting a guy whose literal name is ominous like that. No, thank you. But this makes sense, kind of, right? Next, they visit the X-Men's universe, right? But the X-Men are hostile. They've survived multiple incursions and trust no one, mainly because they've been fucking killing people, so they think people are on their way to kill them. They assume that the MCU heroes and the Fantastic Four have come to destroy them and attack. Now, this is where Reed and Doom explain their solution: to build these massive cannons on each Earth, that will permanently separate the universes and stop the incursions, because the incursions is when the universes are clashing, right? They will split into teams, and each will go to another Earth to place the cannon there. Meanwhile, Steve tells Thor that he met Loki, who is still alive. Thor asks Steve to take him to him using Loki's card that he gave him, right? The way he can get back. They locate the TVA, but when they arrive, everyone is dead, and Loki has had his heart ripped out. They realize Doom is responsible. Steve goes back to confront Doom, who reveals his true plan: to allow the incursions to happen so that he can rebuild the multiverse in his own image and resurrect his dead family. Now he takes Steve to his castle in Latveria on his Earth. There, Steve meets Doom's followers, masked witches, right? All of these masked people around him, they're like his goons, you know? One of them actually impersonates Peggy to help manipulate Cap, right? Fucked up shit. Doom reveals that Steve's presence in their universe is what triggers their incursion, because he didn't belong there. It also led to the death of Dr. Doom's family. Doom became obsessed with stopping the incursions, conducting dangerous experiments, one of which failed, killing his family and leaving him disfigured, forcing him to wear the armor and mask. So you know he's going to have some hidden vendetta against Steve Rogers because his family's dead, essentially because of him. As revenge, Doom kills Steve's son in front of him. Now, this is the thing that a lot of people don't jive with, right? A lot of people are saying Disney wouldn't do this. They might, but I don't know. Doom then announces that the Avengers are coming, and Latveria prepares for war. The Fantastic Four and the Avengers and the X-Men unite and march on Latveria. Thor prays to Odin, who sends them an army from Valhalla to join the battle. A massive war erupts as the Earths begin to collide. Eventually, the universes crash into each other and are destroyed, killing everyone. Everyone except Dr. Doom. It's revealed that he stole Loki's powers, right? Because at the end of Loki season 2, he's literally holding things. He's holding the whole universe together, right? He's the life tree. He's holding the life tree together. So if he kills him, takes his powers. Using them, he creates Battleworld, resurrects everyone, and erases their memories. They believe Battleworld is all that has ever existed, and then we see them living new lives in this false reality. Doom sits on his throne as Emperor of Battleworld. And that's the end of the first movie. So, a lot to digest there. Sorry, I know I was just trying to read it so we can get through it. But it seems like that's more or less where they're going to go. Now, we have Robert Downey Jr. playing the role of Doom. I don't think they're going to show his face very much. I think you might get one good face reveal. But I do think that they're going to kind of leave that for maybe Secret Wars, right? Because I know that the Tony Stark face card is going to have a very big role. It's going to play a very big role in some of these heroes and how they interact with him, right? Especially Spider-Man. You imagine if Spider-Man sees him and it's Tony. Oh my God. But it sounds like they found a way to kind of set up Doom without. like we haven't had too much setup. We didn't get the Thanos setup over multiple movies to then have him be the big bad. Doctor Doom kind of is being a little shoehorned in here, and we got to kind of speed up the threat here. And this is the way that they could do it. Now, again, this is subject to change. This is a plot leak. We don't know if any of this is actually true. There's some of it I do think, like the bones of it, I think are realistically probably there, right? The blueprint of the movie is probably some of this, but the details within we're not completely sure. But it does seem like they did find a good way to figure out how to get this ball rolling, especially for Secret War. So I don't know, to have God Emperor Doom right off the bat, and then to have him create like Battle World, and it's gonna be just this one big reality. He's just gonna create this one big reality of all the realities and just kind of have it mashed up together. But I don't know how that's gonna come into play with, Tobey Maguire Spider-Man and Wolverine and just Tom Holland Spider-Man, right? Because we don't know where Brand New Day fits into this timeline. Some people were saying it was before Doomsday. Now there's rumor going around saying that it happens after Doomsday. So potentially Peter, this story that Peter's going to be in for Brand New Day might be happening in Battle World. I don't know at all. But yeah, I don't know. I've just been keeping my ear to the ground when it comes to the leaks and the rumors and all of the casting rumors and things like that. I know Sadie Sink, she was Max in Stranger Things, if you're familiar with that. She's in Spider-Man Brand New Day, and it's rumored that she's going to be Jean Grey from the X-Men, but it's not confirmed yet. And the rumors about her being Jean Grey have something to do with potentially her trying to wake everyone up from this false reality that Doom has kind of put on everyone. Because remember, he's going to erase their minds. No one's going to know that anything existed before this in terms of this multiverse. They're going to think that this is always the universe that they were from, right? So, like I said, it's a lot. And I think as the days go on and as we get closer to the actual release of the trailer and the release of the movie itself, these leaks and these rumors and these synopsis are just going to kind of pop up every other week, it feels like. And we're never really going to know until we see the movie. But I just wanted to share that with you guys because I'm excited. Like, even with the plot leaks, like even if it is 90% accurate, I'm still super excited to see that. So let me know what you guys think when it comes to the plot leaks. Are you excited for the Avengers Doomsday movie? Do you think it's kind of a reach, the way that they're kind of pushing Dr. Doom and the whole Iron Man, Robert Downey Jr. thing? Let me know because, like I said, I don't mind the casting if they can do it right or whatever story they're trying to tell, but it does seem like they might have figured out how to do this correctly. All right, now with those two things out the way, like I said, we talked about Angel no longer being here. We talked about the Haley Beck situation, and then we just discussed the Avengers Doomsday plot leak, right? Now, two things before I let you guys go for the day. I just want to say thank you, guys. I want to say thank you now for just all the support that anyone has always showed us. We had a lot of fun doing the channel, the videos, just the experience. We had a lot of fun doing everything for the last 3 years, and it is sad. It is sad that things are going to be different moving forward. I never wanted Angel to not be a part of this. And, now that we're at this stage, it is kind of sad to look back on the old episodes. And I remember I used to be so excited for Mondays because Mondays not only was the episode coming out, but we were recording for the next one. And it was just such a fun process. And like I said, I just want to say thank you to anyone who has ever participated on the podcast, has ever watched it, has ever liked, commented, subscribed, everything. Like I don't take those things for granted. And the older you get in life, you start to take the little things. You start to really appreciate the little things. So I just want to say thank you guys, like I said, for all the support. And one last thing that I do want to leave you guys with, and this one's a little more of my personal life. About going on 3 weeks Today, Sunday, 3 weeks, 3 weeks from this Sunday, or 3 weeks from today on a Sunday, one of my dogs actually did pass away, and I took it a little hard, mainly because his name was Oliver, and for any of you guys who know me on a deeper level, more personal level, you know that that was my mom's dog. Ollie was the one that she picked out, right? Because I had picked out my German Shepherd Nala. My sister had picked out her Chihuahua. His name is Bo. And then my mom wanted a dog around that same time, and we got her one, and his name was Oliver. We found him on Craigslist. He was a runaway. Someone just found him on the road and was looking to rehome him. And he was a little fucker because he would run out. In his heyday, he would slip through the gates and he would go explore. He wanted to go pee on everything. He wanted to be a street rat. And one of my older sisters had him after my mom passed away. They had him for a couple years, and then we did a little bit of dog swapping where they took on my dog. I took the two small dogs, and we kind of, we were doing that for a little bit. And then I ended up with all three of the dogs. And for the last 6 years, I've had all three of the dogs. And it wasn't easy. It's never been easy. Taking care of three dogs like that, especially in a small apartment, it can get a little much. And there were tons of days where he irked me so much. There was tons of days where he irked me so much because he was a peer, right? He was such a chill dog. I always said that he was so chill and my favorite when it came to just being laxed, you know what I'm saying? Like he let you do whatever to him. The girls would pick him up and hold him like a baby. I remember the girls even freaking painted eyebrows on him. And I remember they dressed him up for Halloween, and he was just such a very good family dog. But he used to pee on stuff. He had faults, right? He was a little fucker. My mom used to call him that all the time. But he passed away about 3 weeks ago, and I was able to, put him to rest, and just seeing him kind of up and down. He was kind of sick, and then he was good, and then he was kind of sick, and then he was good again, and it just, anytime you lose an animal, especially an animal that meant a lot to me, because like I said, that was my mom's dog, and I felt like it was my duty to take care of him because she would have, right? When I felt like my sister kind of pushed him to the side, or she got into that mood where she didn't want animals or dogs anymore, and she kind of like disregarded him. I just felt like that was a direct disrespect to my mom, right? Because that was her dog. And so like I said, I loved him. I loved him a lot, and I have a lot of regret because I do feel like I could have been a better owner. You if anyone's out there that's dealt with grief, you always have that. You always think about all the things you could have done. When it was with my mom, all I thought about was what I could have done instead of reminiscing and cherishing the things that we did. So when it comes to Oliver, it hit pretty hard because it was just a reminder of the grief that I think I felt, 9 years ago. My mom's been gone for 9 years. So it was just another piece of the grief that was brought up. But it was also a reminder that certain chapters of life do start to close, And when you're faced with those chapters closing, at least me personally, I know some of my friends are stronger than I am when it comes to that. And I know there's a lot of people out there that maybe handle these things better than I do. But when it comes to change, when it comes to death, when it comes to things just not being the same, it's hard. It's hard for me. The way my brain works, the way that I handle these situations is hard. So it was just like I was losing another piece of my mom when he was gone. And to see him on his last final days where he was good one day and then he was weird the next and not good. And I saw him faint. he fainted. He like I don't think he fainted, but like that's just the best description I can give it to you. He kind of fell a little weird. Like he was kind of like hacking up. He was furry, so sometimes he'd lick himself and get little fur balls. And he was kind of like trying to hack up, and then I just saw him. I like look at him and he falls. And I kind of like wrap him. I get to him. I wrap him up in the blanket, and he licks me. Like he licked me. He was okay. I didn't know what that was, but he was okay. And then he got up and he kind of just was wandering around, and he laid like right where the camera's at right now. He laid down and he just kind of was chilling the rest of the night. And I was checking on him every 20 minutes or so. I was checking on him, and I'd feel his body, and he was breathing. I'm getting the breathing motion. And then around 10 o'clock at night, we checked on him one more time, and he just wasn't breathing anymore. So I wrapped him up, and it was at nighttime, and I didn't have anywhere really to put him. So I went to work the next day. I asked to leave early, and when I left early, I was able to go to my girlfriend's house and bury him in her backyard. And it was nice. It was nice saying goodbye to him. It was hard, and it sucked. But I was able to put him to rest, and as soon as he went into the ground, I felt better. Mainly because he's not suffering anymore. But it did feel like closure, and again, it was just the start of those chapters of my old life closing. And I just wanted to share that with you guys because, that's the least I could do for him. Everyone deserves to be remembered. Everyone deserves to have a proper send off. And he was a good boy. So I just want to share that with you guys because it was hard. And like I said, he deserves it. He deserves it. So if I can get a Rip Ollie in the chat, I think he'd like that. So, but with that said, I thank you guys for coming back. Like I said, any and all support always means a lot to me. So thank you guys. This was episode 57 of the Amateur Hour podcast. I am your host, Matt. I'll see you next week. And don't do nothing I wouldn't do, but don't do nothing I would do. It's a fine line in that middle. So I'll see you guys next week.